right, Mark, we're rolling.
All right.
So, Mark, you're the expert of Cerritos, and I wanted you in the truck to simulate for those people as if I don't know a damn thing about Cerritos. So, I'm a client of yours, and you're showing me what Cerritos has to offer. Where will we go to start off?
Well, I think a good place to start would be a little bit higher up, and that way we can kind of get the experience moving from the highway towards the beach, and I can give you a little bit of an overview of basically the way that Cerritos Beach is transforming almost on a daily basis.
Got it.
I mean, the development is going so rapidly at this point that I find myself driving into areas I haven't been in for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, there's 2 new houses over here.
Right.
I mean, it's happening.
How long have you been in the area?
So I'm coming up on 18 years full time. Yeah, 2007 November is when I officially relocated to Pescadero, and I've been living here full time ever since.
Your first trip to the area, though, was how many years ago?
2007, the same year that I relocated. Yeah,
Okay.
It was completely unintentional. I had some experience traveling in Baja, but nobody actually directed me to Pescadero. I just stumbled into town, and I loved it so much from the time that I got here that I decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to find a place to rent and hang out here for maybe a month.
Uh-huh.
Well, a month has turned into 18 years.
What was it back in 2007 that you knew this was a place to move to? And do you think that has changed with people coming to the area?
So what I saw when I got here in 2007 was one of the most beautiful beaches that I had ever seen. And the biggest shocker in my mind was that there was no development whatsoever at that point in time. Villas de Cerritos Beach had broken ground, and there was one home that had been built by a couple from San Francisco. Because you have to remember what I learned when I got here, because obviously I was asking everybody, why are there no homes? Well, there were no titles to any of this land up until February of 2005. So it technically wasn't possible for anybody to own anything up until then. So that couple from San Francisco built the very first home at Cerritos Beach. And what I saw in my mind was that it was inevitable that this area was going to develop. And I kind of just decided that I'm going to make this my home and figure out a way to earn some income, and as the area continues to evolve, I will be able to find more opportunities. And the plan is...
How old were you when you moved here?
27 years old.
27 years old. So I moved here in my late 20s, 30 years old, 29 I think also. And it's interesting that what brought you here, the beauty, the pristineness, and what do you think, how have things changed for your clients that are now coming to the area? Are they coming for different reasons?
They are definitely coming for different reasons. Back in the early days, you have to remember, because there was almost no development whatsoever, there were no amenities to speak of.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the people that were purchasing at that point in time were drawn here specifically by the beach. I would say 50% were surfers, and probably the other 50% wanted to learn to surf and to be able to spend, time at a beautiful sand-bottomed beach that's very conducive to beginning surfers, and there were no crowds back then. Mm-hmm. So it was very ideal. Now the area has evolved, and it's attracting people that may have some interest in going to the beach, but in many cases, especially amongst a lot of my older clients who are retired, there's more amenities here than there ever have been. So you don't even need to leave Cerritos Beach to go out to dinner. There's 5 or 6 great options to choose from. Obviously the weather is ideal year round, so it's no longer just a haven for surfers that don't really care that there's no restaurants and are happy, you know, cooking over a camp stove or whatever. It's really come into its own.
All right, we're at the highway.
Okay.
And so would you typically meet a client here, or would you meet them on the beach?
It's very common that I meet clients right here, because especially if they're new to the area, they may not be familiar with some of the other locations closer to the beach. So this is a really common meeting spot for me.
And what kilometer marker are we?
We are at kilometer 64.
64. Okay. Yeah, I remember this back in 2005. We're coming down here, and there was a taco place on the beach.
Yes.
And that was the only thing that was there. And
Yes.
then I think one person that, I don't know if they were renting surfboards, but I remember the first time coming, I rented a surfboard in Cabo.
Okay.
And brought it out here.
Okay.
So it was incredible. No one on the beach.
Right.
And that was 20 years ago.
Right. Yeah, that taco stand on the beach is sort of a thing of legend. Amongst people that were here at that time, Cheppy selling tacos on the beach is something that the old timers always talk about.
Okay, so you would meet clients here typically, and you would start the tour heading towards the ocean.
Exactly. I think that's the best way to get the lay of the land if you're new to the area. Start at the highway, and as we move towards the beach and move closer towards the heart of the development, which the heart of it is a little closer to the beach, but there are so many residential homes popping up closer towards the highway, mostly due to the affordability of the land. Obviously, proximity to the beach and the views are going to be the two factors that command the highest value. So back here by the highway, there's still some very affordable pieces of land, easy to build on. You can still get in the game for $100,000 at this point in time.
How big of a lot is that?
So the average lot size out here is 2,000 square meters, which is a half of an acre. And that's actually something that I'm really grateful that the Ejido decided to go with those larger lot sizes, just to prevent the area from becoming too dense, like what you'll see in areas like Sayulita, where you have these 300 and 400 square meter lots, and the area has just become overly developed and incredibly dense. So these half-acre lots, that's a lot of space for not only you to build your home and do whatever you want to do on your property, but it's preventing the area from developing in an unattractive and overly dense manner.
So you can still get affordable lots, half acre, for around $100,000. When you first start selling real estate here, you could get a lot for...
I have sold lots for as low as $15,000 back in the day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what would an oceanfront lot sell for?
Well, at this point in time, you can find some nice oceanfront lots in the South Cerritos area where there are no services yet for roughly $600,000.
Okay.
However, if you want to be with power and water, you're looking at closer to $1 million at this point in time.
Still the half acre size lot?
Most of the oceanfront lots are between 1,500 square meters and 1,800 square meters, okay. So just a little bit under, but still plenty of space. Most of those have 20 meters of ocean frontage.
Okay, got it.
So over on the left, there's a trailer park over there. So the area does still have some suitable areas for campers. Obviously, the Sprinter vans are extremely popular. Sure. You may not need the hookups all of the time, but you know, if you've been on the road in your Sprinter van, it might be nice to come and plug into the septic and take on some water and enjoy hot showers and whatnot. Access high-speed internet, although a lot of people have the Starlink setups in their Sprinters these days.
Now, there's several power lines. At what year approximately did power come to Cerritos?
I believe the power lines came down in 2009.
Okay.
And the power lines were brought down by the developer of Villas de Cerritos Beach. I was involved in a lot of those discussions because that was my first job here. I found employment with that developer based on my background as a general contractor in California.
I never noticed this Chinese restaurant, Taste of Asia.
It's excellent.
Is it really?
It's really, really good. Yes.
And it's open.
Yeah, no, I highly recommend a Taste of Asia.
Who's the owner of that? Is it a gringo
It's
or
a couple of guys from Mexico City, and apparently that's where they, Mexico City is a cultural melting pot, and apparently that is where they learn to prepare some amazing Chinese food. And it's something that you wouldn't expect to find in an area like this, but it's well known amongst all of the locals that it actually has excellent Chinese food. Now this here on the left is the newest supermarket in Cerritos Beach, which is actually the third supermarket from these particular owners. They have 2 other supermarkets in Todos Santos. This has been a complete game changer for not only the area, but my own personal world. They carry so many of the items that you would find at Costco that it's no longer necessary to go to San Lucas to find things like Fahe Greek yogurt or Thomas English muffins.
Right.
The other thing that they've got Ben & Jerry's ice cream and Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Back in the day, ice cream, I love ice cream. I worked at a Baskin & Robbins back in the day, and I love this stuff. And I used to buy it in Cabo and pack it on ice and drive it up here. And now, it's almost dangerous. I find myself getting hungry. They're open until 10 o'clock at night. And awesome. It's, 5 minutes from my house. So, no, these guys, like I said, they already operate 2 other very successful supermarkets. They know the supermarket game inside and out, and they've done an excellent job at identifying the products that especially the foreign community want, and the ones that, like I said, people were driving to Cabo just for one particular item, how
made no
ridiculous,
sense, right?
How ridiculous is it to drive to Cabo just to get some non-fat Greek yogurt? And now it's just right here. It's a total game changer. Yeah.
This was last year that it opened?
It's been open for about a year now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is a famous fork in the road in Cerritos. If we were to go straight down this road, what will we find?
So if you were to go straight down this road, it'll take you over to the southern edge of the Gavilan neighborhood. The Gavilan neighborhood is the high-end residential area in Pescadero. That's where we're seeing the largest foreign investment in the area, without question. If you make a left at the Y, this will take us to Cerritos Beach, and that is the main tourist attraction for this area. That's where you'll find most of the amenities that I was referencing in regards to restaurants, surfboard rentals, cafes. That's where most of the condo development is taking place, just because proximity to the beach is, again, the main attraction for people who are coming on vacation. But the interesting thing is, I'll work with clients who have been visiting the area for a long time, and they know Cerritos Beach very well because that was the first, thing that brought them here. They have never taken a right at this Y and gotten into the Gavilan area and explored that. And so many of them have wound up actually purchasing in the Gavilan area just because it's got the proximity to Cerritos, which is the main attraction, but it's a quiet, high-end residential neighborhood. So it's kind of a nice middle ground type thing.
So we're simulating, I don't know the area. What would you recommend? Should we go straight or should we take a left?
No, I would hang a left and we'll see Cerritos proper, and then we'll make our way to the north and get into the high-end residential neighborhood.
Perfect.
So this here is going to be a hardware store. So this hardware store on the left is not open yet. It should be opening very shortly. I believe they're still finalizing a connection to the electricity or some technicality. But again, the guy who owns that hardware store has, I think, 4 others in the area. And for him, he's sending materials to this area so frequently that it made sense to open another location here. And it's also
just an apartment?
That's going to be commercial space right there, is my understanding.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why those haven't started renting yet. I think it may be in regards to getting hooked up to the electricity.
Okay. Understood. And then this is a popular local hangout.
Man, this place, Shaka's Cantina. If you're into sports bars, live music, this place is packed almost every night of the week. The food is excellent. It's very reasonably priced. It's the most welcoming and friendly environment. The owner, Brando, has just done a fantastic job, and he's so personal. He's in there every night. He remembers everybody's name.
That's cool.
He's done an amazing job, and he's experiencing a tremendous amount of success as well.
It looks like there's additional property in front of it. Is that still part of the restaurant, or are those?
It's part of the same property. This is a triangular shaped lot that has probably roughly 100 meters of frontage on this road. And I know that was one of the reasons that he selected this lot. He purchased early in the game, probably around 2007. And this was his vision for his retirement. And this frontage on the main road
That's cool.
was what made it conducive to a sports bar.
Yep.
And it's also, there's another road on the other side of it, so he's got an abundance of parking as well,
Which is
And,
important for commercial space.
Yes,
For your
100%.
customers.
Yeah.
And right across, there's a surf rental.
Yeah,
place,
this
or
is
RV park.
this is the West Side Surf School and
Alright.
Surfboard Rentals. This is run by a local guy named Tacho, and if you want to get in the water for the first time, they can get you out there and provide you with instruction. If you already have some experience, they can get you the equipment and send you down the road. I believe they're doing e-bike rentals here
Oh, cool.
as well. And yeah, great addition to the area.
Right. I love seeing all this commercial, because I know the commercial is always further down the evolution ladder in terms of development. First it's the residential, and then it demands the commercial.
Right. The clients come first, and then the businesses to support them come once the market has developed.
Another mini market.
Yes, Kimberly's Supermarket. They've got coffee. They've got tacos now. They also do quad rentals, e-bike rentals. They've got 2 or 3 casitas for rent there as well. It's a great spot. Rigo, the owner, is a great guy. Very, very well known, not only throughout the Pescadero, Todos Santos area, but almost the Baja Peninsula in general.
And then there's a lot of, just off the main drag heading to the beach, different condo project, housing projects. Are all these in the last couple years, or have some of these been around for 10 years or more?
Most of them have popped up in the last 5 years, and there are more being announced almost every day. I mean, for a lot of people that aren't planning to live full-time in the area, a condo is a really easy way to get your foot in the door and have a little bit of a more hands-free ownership experience due to the HOA managing the exterior maintenance and whatnot. And that's really nice for a guy who's not going to be living here full-time, because with home ownership, sometimes there's a lot of maintenance and different responsibilities, and if you're not going to be here all the time, what happens is sometimes people get here, and rather than grabbing their surfboard and going right to the beach, they go, oh man, the irrigation system needs to be repaired, I better get the gardener over here. And before too long they're like, man, I've had my hands full since I got here just trying to get caught up with some things. So for somebody that's not going to be here all the time, condo ownership can make a lot of sense.
The majority of the construction are condominiums as a result.
Yeah. There's, hundreds of units existing, and like I said, more being announced almost on a daily basis.
With all the new construction in the Cerritos area, have you found a saturation point where the demand hasn't met the inventory?
I think that we have reached the saturation point right now. The demand was red hot even prior to COVID. It was accelerated by COVID. That momentum carried even through 2024. However, we're not seeing condo prices continuing to skyrocket, or older condos continuing to trade at a 25-30% appreciation rate every year, because there's new inventory available all over the place. So I think it'll take a little bit of time for the market to absorb all of the new condo projects that currently exist. But the area is not losing popularity. There are still more and more people coming all the time. Everything in real estate, goes in waves, and I'm sure that these will all be absorbed by the market in time. There's no doubt about that.
So as a result, are you seeing that prices are starting to come down?
In many cases, we have seen prices drop from where they were even a year ago, especially on some of the first condos are now reaching roughly 10 or 12 years old. And due to the demand and the shortage of inventory, those prices were continuing to rise. But now that there's more inventory, people are hesitant to spend what you could buy a brand new condo for on a 10-year-old model.
I know for a number of years it was a seller's market. Would you qualify today's market in 2025 more a buyer's market?
Absolutely. Yes, we've come back into a buyer's market. We're continuing to see a lot of price reductions. Many of those are the result of people overpricing and reaching for the appreciation that we saw during that red hot wave following COVID. But yes, we're back into a buyer's market. There's a lot of opportunities out there. There's more inventory than there has been in several years. And as a result, there's some motivated sellers in the group and some opportunities for the buyers.
Okay. And would you say that buyers have changed their desire between new construction or pre-construction versus existing construction in the last 12 months?
So there's some value to something that already exists because you can close, get the key, move in, and start using it. However, if you're willing to wait, you're getting a brand new unit when you buy something that's pre-construction. So I would say that the demand has shifted somewhat with the availability of so much new inventory coming to market, where a lot of buyers do see the value in waiting a period of time to move into something and be the first owner.
Got it. Let's go to the high-end residential area.
Okay, cool. You can go right here and then right again, and we can...
Okay. Just go right. So we see a number of campers. So it's still very common for people to come with their camper and just park here overnight?
100%. Some of these people spend a period of weeks living out of their Sprinter vans or campers, and at this point in time, there's still no issues with parking in the access and kind of turning it into your own campground for indefinite periods of time.
And where would they go for showers and things like that? Is there a facility?
You can always go to the trailer park that I mentioned. I believe those guys are offering hot showers and the ability for camper vans to...
Do we take a left here or right?
If we go left here, we can drive along the beachfront road on the way over into Gavilan. There's a lot of beautiful new construction going on over there. That's a really cool road in general, and it's kind of great to see it coming into its own, because I remember not long ago, the zone that we're going to be entering into, which I've always kind of referred to as the saddle between Cerritos proper and Gavilan area. Man, there's some amazing oceanfront lots on this street, and there are some beautiful homes completed and under construction right now. And it just seems like yesterday when this was a road that was so rutted out that sometimes you'd actually want to use four-wheel drive just to pass a certain section on it. This project here, this is all oceanfront. This project here is an oceanfront condo complex called The Cove. They've had a tremendous amount of success between the two phases that they've done. The location is fantastic because, as the name suggests, it's located on a cove that's just north of the point at Cerritos. But the result is there's a little bit of a private beach. It's not private in the sense that the public doesn't have access to it. It's just not used with the frequency that Cerritos Beach is. So it's kind of cool for people to just go hang out, watch the sunset, maybe throw an umbrella in the sand, but at the same time, you're minutes away from the main stage at Cerritos when you want to grab your surfboard or, go have a taco with your your toes in the sand at Mark.
I remember pre-construction, those were selling for in the 300s.
In the 300s.
And now, what would a 2-bedroom in the Cove?
The most recent resales have all been in the 9s.
900.
Yeah.
3 times.
3 times in a period of 3 years, 4 years.
4 years. And this is technically second row
Correct.
from the ocean.
Correct. So on this street, it's all a hillside, basically descending all the way down to the sand. So the second row, although you're a little bit further back from the sand, you've got amazing views. This project right here is called Resale Gavilan, and those condos have amazing 360-degree views. Not only obviously you've got an amazing ocean view, but they have terraces on the east side of them as well, which give you the very underrated mountain views, which are oftentimes even more impressive than the horizon at sunset, because you get a lot of color changes against the mountain range, pinks and purples.
Yeah.
The locals all know about it, and at sunset I always laugh because oftentimes the tourists are so focused on the ocean. It's like, hey guys, turn around and check out what's going on behind you at the mountains. It's equally, if not more, impressive.
Is this in a single family?
Single family home, yeah.
Wow.
All single family homes here on the oceanfront so far. No commercial projects, but some very impressive builds, both architecturally and in terms of the size of them and the way that they've been built on the sloped lots. I mean, just amazing views.
Services here?
Electricity, water is trucked. Another really, really cool thing about the oceanfront here is that it's all rock outcroppings with tide pools, and the sand shifts dramatically throughout the year depending upon whether or not the swells are coming from the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. It's a great place to take a walk, and like I was saying, there's tide pools, so there's a lot of ocean life that you can get an up close and personal view at when the tide is out. A lot of the locals you will see fishing off the rocks in the morning and in the evening down here, and it's just a little bit of a more entertaining view than just a typical sand beach. You've got the waves breaking right up against the rocks, the tide pools, people fishing. When we've got big swell on the water, I mean, you're watching the waves detonate right on those rocks. It's really impressive and cool to see.
Are these condo projects to the right or single family?
There is a condo project to the right, and then the rest are single family homes, and those are all the second row that I was mentioning a little bit earlier that gains more elevation, and that equates to more view.
And what would an oceanfront lot here? Are any available to be purchased?
I believe there's one available at the 1.3 price point.
And those are the 1,500 square meters to 1,800?
That's correct, yes. This one was one of the
I remember this one.
Cerritos as well. It's a really interesting story. This was actually built by the silent movie actor Lee Marvin's widow, and everybody always has referred to it as the egg house or the conehead house. Right. And she was trying to emulate a style of building that she saw in Indonesia, which is eco-friendly, and they use coiled straw wattle plastered on the exterior. Uh-huh. And this is a landmark in the area. This has been here since 2006.
I remember when I first came here, this was for sale for like $300,000.
It sold for $350,000. The structure is so funky and unique that a lot of the potential buyers were looking at it as a total renovation or a complete teardown. And the couple that wound up purchasing it, their children fell in love with the design. It's so unique. I believe they added a swimming pool on the front, and they've just been enjoying it ever since they purchased it. But I mean, what a deal. This piece of land is just spectacular.
All right. It seems like things have visually changed now that we're on the other side of the Cerritos Hill. Is this what you were talking about earlier?
This is the Gavilan neighborhood, and as you can see, the scenery has changed dramatically. Cerritos is a desert scape, so it's a little bit more dry and brown, especially during the winter months. Obviously, everything here turns green in the summer. You just sprinkle some water on the desert, everything comes back to life. But the great thing about this neighborhood is that the views looking north all overlook the palm canopy, the green farmland. This view line is green and lush year-round. There has been water flowing on this side of Pescadero for more than 100 years due to all of the agriculture over there. So to me, I personally just love this view because it's green and lush, and it just feels like an oasis, like you're in the tropics and not so much in the desert. So that's definitely one of many reasons that have resulted in this area turning into the high-end residential neighborhood.
Are these all single-family homes? Or?
Every single one of these is a single-family home. We have no commercial development
No
in Gavilan, no condominiums whatsoever over here yet. We may see some pop up in the future, but I know I personally live in this neighborhood. I've invested my own money into this neighborhood. I've probably sold 75 lots or more in this neighborhood over the years. And I can say that the community is very strong here and has worked collectively to try to prevent the area from going in a commercial direction. Everybody likes the idea of coming back to my home in a neighborhood filled with homes, and if I want to go over to the main stage, it's just a couple of minutes away.
Yeah, just over the hill. And what would a lot cost on the low end tier, like back further away from the ocean? I'm assuming it's getting cheaper.
You're looking at, on the low end, 300,000 in this neighborhood. Yeah, and then it obviously just continues to go up from there. I recently closed on 2 properties. One of them is almost within our line of sight. It sits on the hillside right over here, and because of the slope, which translates to the amazing views, that one actually closed at $450,000, and it's a 3rd tier lot.
Wow.
The other one that I closed on, I think earlier this month, is more like a 5th or a 6th tier flat lot, power and water to the property. That one closed at $300,000.
So over here you get water hookup.
Yes, that's another huge advantage to this neighborhood. You are off of the water truck. I would say 75 to 80% of the lots in Gavilan now have underground water available. It's a water line that is managed by the Ejido of Pescadero. So that's just, it makes homeownership a little bit easier when you don't have to be diligent about monitoring the water level in your cistern and calling for another water truck and dealing with paying the water guy. The water is supplied once a week. So everybody constructs a home with a cistern for water storage, and when the line is pressurized, your cistern will fill to its capacity, and then the water line will automatically close via a float valve. So again, you don't have to think about it.
Got it. And if you were to find an oceanfront lot here in Gavilan, what would the size be, and what would the price be?
So most of these measure in that same range of 15 to 1,800 square meters. And it's been some time since any of these Gavilan oceanfronts have changed hands, but you're looking at north of $1.5 million for one of these. This area is just so desirable, and the majority of these lots, the oceanfront ones, have natural elevation above the sand, so water or storm surge is not a concern on most of them, where some of the other ones it is a little bit more of a concern, and you may want to elevate your first floor. But yeah, that's the reason why the price points are what they are.
Would the residents here in Gavilan would they be entering off the highway in Cerritos and driving over like what we just did, or is there a quicker, easier route?
There's an easier route via a road that we kind of refer to as the Potrero Pizza Road, just because it's the most known landmark in close proximity to the entrance from the highway. But that's the road that I use daily to come in and out of this neighborhood. And I would say the vast majority of the residents are all using that same road.
Got it. And what percentage of the homeowners here are full-time versus part-time?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say it's roughly 50-50 at this point in time. Yeah, we do have a lot of full-time residents in this neighborhood. A lot of people that have relocated from the United States, who some of them are retired and others are working remotely. Some of them occasionally travel back and forth, but it's definitely not an area that is, only used seasonally. There's people living here year round.
Is it common for the homeowners here to rent their house when they're not using it?
Very common. Okay. Yes, there's a lot of short-term vacation rentals. The people that I see renting in the Gavilan neighborhood are usually people that have visited the area and they've already discovered this neighborhood, and they've already picked up on all of the advantages to the area that I just mentioned. So what I see over here, there are people that are renting for shorter periods of time, but it's very common for people to rent a lot of these homes for a month or more at a time, because like I said, they've already figured out the area. And a lot of them are actually renting while they contemplate, do I want to purchase and invest my savings to live here full time? And that's something that I always advise people to do. I think it's a great idea. Find a place and hang out for a month.
Yep. And obviously these are houses, and they're, by the looks of it, most of them are fairly good sized. I don't see a whole lot of small houses in this area. What would you expect the range of a house when it goes on the market for sale?
Oh, so the most recent homes that have traded in this area have traded, I'd say the median price is around $1 million. You can get into triple that if you're looking at some of these spectacular 6,000 square foot plus view homes, or you can find one. I've got one on the market right now for $650,000, which I think is by far the best value in this neighborhood at this time. It's a smaller home. It's 1,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, but it is on an elevated lot. You can see the waves breaking at the point at San Pedrito, which is the north end of the beach here in Gavilan. And another thing I should point out is, you saw how many people were over at the beach at Cerritos right now, and there's probably several hundred people down there right now. How many humans do we see on this beach right now?
I see more birds than humans.
I'm only seeing birds right now. This beach is basically only used by locals or residents of the neighborhood. And it's if you're just looking to throw your umbrella in the sand and hang out, this is where you'll find me. But I also like to surf, so if I'm gonna go catch some waves, you'll find me either at Cerritos or down at San Pedrito at the point. But I mean, this is an amazing, perfect sand-bottomed beach. People always ask if it is swimmable. The swimmability of the beach varies tremendously depending upon how much swell is on the water. But when there's not a lot of swell, it is very swimmable because it's all sand bottom. You don't need to worry about being banged up on the rocks. When there's a lot of swell in the water, you definitely need to exercise caution. Even if the waves aren't breaking directly on the sand, which they do on many sections of this beach, there are still very strong rip currents that you need to be aware of. However, I love swimming out here, even when there is big swell on the water.
You're a lifeguard too.
Yes, I lifeguarded for many years. I have a lot of experience going in and out of the ocean.
Like right now, can you tell if it's the swell?
Yes, right now it's actually, there's not too much swell on the water, and I would feel very comfortable going for a swim out there right now.
Got it. But it can change like that.
It can, 100%. Even right now with, a very small swell in the water, you can see where the rip currents are. They're indicated by the brown water, which is caused by the sand being dredged off of the bottom. What makes a rip current is that the waves break, they push all the water onto the beach. Well, all of that water has to go back into the ocean, so it's going to find the path of least resistance, and that's what's going to cause a current pulling out to the ocean.
Yeah.
If you do find yourself caught in a rip current, don't panic, don't fight it, let it pull you out to sea, and then swim parallel with the beach to the north or the south. And the rip currents are only going to exist in it's like a river. It's just a narrow area. Once you travel north or south of that, you will find some more stagnant water that will allow you to make your way back to the beach. And just keep your eye out for that brown water. That's always going to indicate a rib.
Got it? Cool. You don't lifeguard anymore?
No, I do. Well, I occasionally do find myself rescuing people, but I do not actively sit on the beach and...
Got it. Where should we go from here? Or is this it? We've been at it for an hour or so. Would you typically spend about an hour with clients doing this? Obviously, you would show the inside of houses or condominiums, and we're not doing that today.
Right.
I gotta leave anyone that is watching or listening to this podcast. This would be a great time to contact Mark Sherman and do a personal tour and see the insides of these houses and condos to really color what we've seen from an outside perspective. I appreciate your time, Mark. And is there anything else that we haven't touched on worth mentioning?
I think we've done a pretty good job kind of capturing a nice overview of the way that the Cerritos area, the main stage, is transforming, and they're seeing the adjacent high-end residential neighborhood that I call home. I've invested my own money here.
Great. Well, everyone, if you want more information on Cerritos or Pescadero, Mark Sherman is definitely your man. He lives here and has been here for over 18 years. He's a real expert. I go to him with a lot of my questions, investments and opportunities. So if you want more information, contact Mark Sherman. And until the next one, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.